Dobra, kontynuujmy. Great, now the tide is turning in our favor. Great show, Mr. Wright. My sister's as good as free. Right. I believe the next lunch you'll be eating is humble pie. What? I hope you weren't deluding yourself into thinking that the tide has turned. Not over such a thrilling detail. But this shoots a hole in the hole. To jest zastanawiające, jak bardzo podobnie brzmią słowa hole in i hole. W sumie różnią się tylko jedną literką. In the whole premeditate theory. Bah. The prosecution could care less if it was premeditated or not. The only one who seems to care is that lunch lady over there. The defendant, Lana Skye, murdered a detective with a knife. That is the only thing the prosecution needs to prove. Nothing else. Very good, Mr. Prosecutor. I suppose you think you're clever now? But you know as well as I do that she planned on killing him. It was planned. If it wasn't, why would she have been wearing... I believe I'd like to hear your testimony again. Witness, please tell us only what you saw, not what you thought. How dare you? My powers of deduction are not to be underestimated. Really now? Angel's deduction. Lana Skye intended to murder Detective Goodman. That's why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. A skąd ona wie, że ona zadzwoniła po tego samego Goodmana? I'm sure the chief prosecutor had a grudge against the victim. Nothing else could drive that human machine to plunge the knife in again and again. Ahaha! Mamy naszą niezgodność. On został ugodzony tylko raz. Nie, kilka razy. The victim was summoned from the police department to the prosecutor's office. It does sound a lot like premeditation, does it? So, if I order the pizza, does that mean I'm planning to kill the delivery boy? In any case, the defense may now cross-examine the witness. Wydaje mi się, że udało mi się znaleźć problem. Znaczy, niezgodność. Again and again and again. Tutaj. Tylko zróbmy save'a na wszelki wypadek. Bo z autopsji wynika, że umarł od jednego dźgnięcia. Yep. You say she stabbed him again and again. But you couldn't have witnessed that. Are you testing me? Then I'll test you. With my most surprise. The fuck? Czemu ona ma w pudełku ten mech? I'm afraid the moss. To nie mysz, tylko mech. I'm afraid the moss is growing under our feet as we wait, Miss Starr. What do you mean? I shouldn't have to explain this, but take a look. The autopsy report states that the death was due to a loss of blood from one stab wound. Aha, you're right. Good show, Mr. Edgeworth. Tylko, że to my wskazaliśmy to, a nie Edgeworth. What the hell? He's my hero, really. What about my objection? No one noticed? Oh, well, witness. What the fuck? You get the crime scene set, right? Oh, thanks. I always believed that no one could ever mistake ketchup for blood. But now I realize that such mistakes are possible. So, you're saying you mistook something for blood? When she lifted her knife, I thought I saw blood at her breast. Splattered from her victim. That's why I thought she must have stabbed him at least twice. Then tell us what you saw that you thought was blood. Testify. Her red muffler looked like blood to me. That's how ghastly the whole scene was. Her red muffler? Yes, like a scarf. The chief prosecutor always wears one around her neck. So she can be easily hanged at a moment's notice, I suppose. She's right. Miss Sky was wearing a red scarf, wasn't she? Ciekawe, czy ukrywa jakąś bliznę albo coś pod tym. But wait. Isn't it odd that you mistook that for splattered blood? The fuck? Well, people often mistake my bird for a bib. So that's bib. a judge with a bib, and that's why this place feels so much like kindergarten sometimes. Actually, I do think I saw some traces of blood on her chest. However, the autopsy report is clear on this matter. There was only one knife wound. Apparently, Miss Starr isn't entirely sure of her own testimony. Mr. Wright, this is our chance. Chance for what, I wonder? Miss Starr has turned out to be as short-tempered as looked when we met her. Challenging her abilities as a detective really set her off. The short stick burns out the fastest. It's a scientific fact. I wonder, wouldn't it depend on the size of the candle? I mean, add more wax and even a really short wick, nie stick, wick, will burn longer. Obviously, more scientific testing is required. Lana Sky intended to murder Detective Goodman, that's why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. I'm sure the chief prosecutor had a grudge against the victim. Her red muffler looked like blood to me, that's how ghastly the whole scene was. Huh. Ale chwila, na tym zdjęciu, które ona pokazuje, wcale nie wygląda na to, żeby miejsce zbrodni było zaciemnione albo coś. Ghastly, czyli przyćmione albo coś. Spróbujmy pokazać zdjęcie, tylko zróbmy save'a. Yep. Miss Starr, I demand an explanation. The witness is clearly not suited for detective work. What? O, to było na zdjęciu? Mi się wydawało. Dobra, nieważne. The suspect was not wearing a scarf or muffler of any kind when she stopped the victim. And you've proved it yourself with this photograph. Huh? That can be! Only a professional lunch lady could be so utterly clueless. Congratulations, perhaps you've finally found your true calling in life. Boże, Edward! Uspokój się! Harsh words, but good. In the end, Mr. Edgeworth prevails. What was my objection, chopped liver? But it was there, a scarf. No, not that, but something red. Really? Well now, where were we? The witness has given us an entertaining interlude, but back to the business. What? Very well, witness, continue your testimony. You saw the crime and apprehended the suspect. Tell us about that. Very well. I do remember some things accurately, at least. Ultimately, we couldn't shake the most important part of her testimony. The most important part? On to mówił na głos? The part where your sister stabs the victim. This next testimony might just be the moment of truth. Apprehending the suspect. After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind a partition off to her side. I quickly caught her, explaining her rights to her and arrested her on the spot. Ale nie... the fuck? Jak mogłaś ją aresztować, skoro nie jesteś już detektywem, ani żadnym pracownikiem organ ścigania i tak dalej? Yes, when I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. The chief prosecutor made to escape, but against unjust Starr, resistance is futile. You are quite determined about the scarf, aren't you? I strike like a snake and bite like a cobra. That's me, Angel Starr. That wasn't a very good metaphor. First of all, a cobra is a kind of a snake. Don't bother me with details unless you want to get bitten. No thanks. Oh my god. Note to self, Mr. Wright is weak against poisonous snake bites. The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, kicked over an oil drum. An oil drum? Hard to imagine. Oh, she's a beautiful but deadly. A predator, this one. A leopard woman. Rawr. Very well, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination, if you will. Okej. Przyciśnijmy ją w takim razie. Znowu na każdym zdaniu. So, where is this partition on the floor plans? I'm sure she meant this wall next to the car. That's right. There was a wall there about 6 feet high. She was obviously trying to hide herself. Quite a natural thing for a criminal to do. And what did you do then? You say quickly. Were you close to the suspect? As I just said, I was only 30 feet away from her the whole time. Tak, ale miałaś... Okej, znaleźliśmy. Miała przecież przed sobą ogrodzenie, które oddziela sekcję A od sekcji B parkingu. Maybe I should press her for more details. Press her? I'd like to see this on the floor plans, just to be safe. The lunch car was... She was a visitor, and thus she was parked in B block. So you witnessed the murder from here. That would make it about 30 feet from the car, yes. Is that correct, Miss Starr? Yes, that's right. But there was a chain link fence in front of you. I went over it, of course. Amazing, the cough-up queen lunch like that, if indeed. It would have taken her a little time to climb over the fence. So she couldn't have gotten to my sister that fast. Yeah, the fence was about 9 feet high too. So how did Miss Sky not get away? When I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. She mentioned the muffler. What exactly did she say? If I remembered exactly, I would have told you in my testimony. Cheeky. Anyway, all I heard her say was the word muffler. Ale muffler to jest chyba też zderzak, o ile się nie mylę. Chwila przerwy. Na uzupełnienie napojów wyskokowych. Ups. Just that one word. So, what you heard wasn't the suspect talking to you, but to someone else? Yes, the chief prosecutor was talking on her phone. Oh. Her phone? She can't mean. Ask further. By phone, do you mean this cell phone discovered at the crime scene? Yes, ultimately. Ultimately? My memory... it's like a salmon heading upstreams, you see. No, the court doesn't see, Mr. Starr. The chief prosecutor first attempted to use the phone hanging in the wall. On the wall? That's right, near the car there was an emergency phone on the wall. Apparently it was out of order. And so she used her cell phone. Indeed, the emergency phone was out of order that day. Good witnessing, witness. Good witnessing? Whatever happened to good testifying? You should of course add this to your testimony. The things I do to please this rookie defense attorney. The word muffler was overheard during a call made to Emma. Czemu nic nie powiedziałaś na ten temat, Emma? Emma nam powiedziała zresztą, że ona się od razu rozłączyła. I saw it all, how she tried the phone on the wall, but had to use her cell instead. Do you think you could restate your testimony for the court? Oh, I was going to ask the same thing. I only saw this one time. I only say this one time. So listen close, rookies. The chief prosecutor stabbed the victim and ran behind the partition. Then she picked up the emergency phone on the wall, but it was out of order. So she pulled her own cell phone out of her pocket. And during that time, you climb over the chain link fence. Then, when I boldly grabbed her arm... Drapu. The chief prosecutor hung up her phone. And you saw her doing this. What is it, Mr. Wright? Wright już wie, co chce tutaj powiedzieć, ale czy ja wiem, co chce Wright tu powiedzieć? There's no need to push this again. What's wrong? You look like I do during finance. Never mind, it's nothing. Tak się zastanawiam, czy mam tu pokazać ten telefon, ale dobra, zróbmy save'a. I spróbujmy zaprezentować tutaj telefon. Nie. Więc zamiast telefonu, co mogę tu pokazać? Zdjęcie? No tak, przecież ona nie mogła widzieć, że ona sięga po telefon, czy tam próbuje dzwonić z telefonu, bo była zasłonięta przez tą ścianę. Ale jestem głupi. Zdjęcie miałem pokazać. Tak. Miss Starr, I have to conclude that you have a personal grudge against Miss Lana Sky. The witness is a former detective. Her testimony is unmarred by personal bias. Well, who would have thought you would be my knight in shining armor, prosecutor? You who, together with the chief prosecutor, kicked me out 2 years ago. Well, Miss Starr, this is a fatal contradiction within your testimony. How do you explain this? I don't know what you're talking about. Mess with me and I'll... Oh. Oh well. Let's look at the floor plans. You said you witnessed the crime from this point. However, if that's true, you couldn't possibly have seen Miss Sky making that phone call. I believe you see what I'm getting at. That emergency phone was on the back side of this partition. If indeed you were in B block, you couldn't have seen it. What? Order. What is the meaning of this? It's simple, Your Honor. She's not coughing up lunch, she's coughing up lies. Gang. That's quite a claim, Mr. Wright. Perhaps you will allow me a question? Tell us exactly what lie this witness has told the court. Here's where the counter-attack begins. I can't afford to get this wrong. The witness lied about... what she saw, where she saw it, the order of events. Nie, ona jest bardzo przekonana, że widziała Lanę, jak próbuje skorzystać z telefonu, więc wątpię, że kłamie na temat tego, co widziała. Bardziej chyba kłamie na temat tego, gdzie była, where she saw it. Miss Sky tried to use the emergency phone, but it was out of order. What is significant about this fact? Nothing, therefore it would be pointless for Miss Starr to lie about it. Pointless to lie, I see. But say the witness did actually see Miss Sky using the emergency phone. It would mean Miss Starr witnessed the crime from a different location. A different location? Now that's a pointless lie if I ever heard one. Before you call my lie pointless, at least let me tell it. Let me ask a question to our clever wordsmith, Mr. Wright. Wordsmith. Just where was the witness when she saw the crime? All the testimony we've heard until now points in one direction. The place from where Miss Starr witnessed the crime was the A block, tak mi się wydaje. Albo stąd, security room, bo ona na samym początku mówiła, że przyszła z lunchem do swojego chłopaka. Możemy spróbować security room. Nie. This is the only place where she could have been. O, czyli jednak tak. The security guard room. Indeed, the security room is the underground parking lot is well positioned. But it's built on the second floor, so you can see the entire lot. She would have been able to see the emergency phone from there. But why there? There are many other places where she could have seen the phone. Not in this case, Your Honor. The witness, not being part of the prosecutor's office, couldn't park in A block. The only place where she could have seen the crime and the back of the partition is here. I remember in your testimony you said you brought a lunch to your boyfriend in the security guard room, yes? Well, Miss Starr? How many years have I been getting the better of men? To think that the tables could be turned? Today a man has got the better of Angel Starr. Rubble, 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 rubble. Order, order. Witness! What have you done? You used to be a detective. You should know better. I'm not turning back. The guilty will be punished. And I'll do what I must to make sure justice prevails. The guilty? Is she talking about Miss Scar? Mr. Wright, doesn't this strike you as odd? Why did Miss Starr lie? It doesn't make sense. Huh? She could have just said she saw the crime from the security guard room. Ale wtedy zdjęcie, które nam pokazała, nie miałoby sensu. Jeżeli na samym początku powiedziałaby, że widziała całe zajście z tej stróżówki, a zdjęcie Lany ma od przodu. Wtedy to zdjęcie byłoby dziwne. I dalej jest dziwne. Skąd ona wzięła to zdjęcie, skoro była w stróżówce? It wouldn't change anything. Exactly. This photograph tells all. It was the defendant who stopped the victim. Edgeworth, nie widzisz tego? Skoro ona była w stróżówce, to skąd może mieć zdjęcie z tej perspektywy? That truth still stands. It still stands? I disagree, Mr. Edgeworth. What? If a witness is found to be lying, they're guilty of perjury? She knows this. She wouldn't risk that without a good reason. So tell us what her reason was, Mr. Wright. Me? Who else? Mr. Wright, let's review what we know. Miss Starr witnessed the crime from the security guard station. But she lied and said she saw it from B block. It must make a vital difference, but what would have changed? Angle of view to the crime, distance to the crime, difference... Oczywiście, że miejsce, z którego widziała. Angle of view to the crime. Why? The angle at which she saw the crime occur would change. The angle? What do you mean? Well, the security guard station is on the second floor, and she will have sort of a more 3D view of the crime. And this is important, why? The fuck? No to o co tu chodzi? Distance to the crime. Aha. Czyli co, odległość? It changes the distance between her and the scene of the crime. My condolences, Mr. Wright, but look at the floor plans and it's quite clear. The distance between the scene of the crime and the guard station is 30 feet. I don't see how that would change what she could see. What she saw is not in question here. What matters is the time it would take her to reach the scene of the crime. Miss Starr, you witnessed the crime from the security guard station. Now, how long did it take you to go from there to the scene of the crime where you arrested Miss Sky? Well, witness? You... Yes? You ordered the squid wheels, right? The quality of my lunches has gone from low to inedible. I was bringing the PB&G lunch with fresh boysenberry jam to my boyfriend. Boysenberry for the boyfriend. He wasn't in the station, so I waited. I witnessed the crime from the glass-walled station. And before I knew what I was doing, I found myself running towards the scene. But the door was locked. I couldn't open it. Ta i miała czas, żeby biec naokoło? What the fuck? That's why I had to go through the visitors parking in the B block. That's quite a detour. It probably took me at least 5 minutes to get to the scene of the crime. 5 minutes? Oho. Znowu tracimy klatki. This changes things considerably. But it was that woman over there in the defendant's chair who stabbed him. I know it. I have photographic evidence. I swear it. I swear on my finest plastic spock. You have a point, and the spork is a wonderful invention. Would you like another caviar lunch? Absolutely. Mr. Wright, do you have to do something? Do I have any evidence to stop this? Save. Sit back and observe, raise an objection. Jakie my mamy dowody? Mamy niby telefon, gdzie ostatnia rozmowa była o 5:18. On niby zginął o 5:15. Podobno. Więc może telefon jest dowodem? Cholera wie. Mamy save'a, więc podnieśmy sprzeciw. Five minutes between the witnessing of the murder and the arrest. Think about it. You could make pasta in that amount of time, if you'd like it. If you like it al dente. I've got lunch boxes that tie pasta into nuts, Ricky. A 5-minute blank. Isn't that strange? Strange? If you were a criminal, what would you do with 5 minutes, Your Honor? Well, I guess I'd flee the scene. Hey! Don't get the wrong idea, I didn't kill anyone. But you have the instincts of a killer. You would run, but this time was different. Miss Sky dawdled at the scene of the crime. She even had her picture taken. No true criminal would act this way. It's inconvincible. Yeah! Well then, it seems we've come to the end of this testimony. The witness has a grudge against the defendant and a blank in her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, is the next witness ready to go? Unfortunately, I appear to have overestimated this witness on account of her professional history. We did it! We screwed that can... We screwed that can shut. Co? We screw that can shut. A, bo can. We screw that can shut. Can to jest puszka. That was too close. I'm afraid that Cuff-Up Queen has been dethroned. And with that, court is adjourned. Fu, przeżyliśmy. Przetrwaliśmy jakoś? Hold up! O! Sama ona? Mr. Edgeworth, you ordered the squid wheels, right? That's the one she tried to foist off to me. I prefer not take the defense team's leftovers. Anything else to say? I might be able to save you. I have decisive evidence. What was that? Is this another one of her trick lunch boxes? My apologies, but we have no further questions to ask of you, Miss Starr. Ah. Is this your jumbo lunchbox? Woohoo! A triple-decker! Out of defense to the witness determination, I'll allow one more testimony. Deference, not defense. Let's hear about this decisive evidence. Like the Lunchland motto says, you won't be disappointed. What she's going to pull out of her lunchbox this time? Decisive evidence. I should have mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the crime scene. And now, to the matter of the victim's shoe, did I not bring this up? 2 types of blood were found on this shoe. One was of course the victim's, and the other blood type matched that of the defendant, Miss Lana Sky. This shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence. Co ma but? Czemu but ma być niby tym ostatecznym dowodem? What the fuck? What? There was a blood found on that shoe. Try Lunchland for all your lunch and decisive evidence needs. Witness, what's the meaning of this? Why is this the first time I heard of this evidence? Simple, as I've already said. I don't trust you with evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. That's why I took the liberty of investigating this myself. And you had blood tests performed. Didn't I mention? I have 3 boyfriends in forensics? Ile ty masz tych chłopaków? In any case, Your Honor, I can't accept this as evidence. What? You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule number 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. In other words, this shoe is illegal evidence, at least for the time being. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. Edgeworth's shoe is celebrating. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. Don't forget, I used to be a detective. As I mentioned previously, this shoe has already been tested by a member of the forensics department. As you can see, it was approved by the police department as of today. Even the general public can produce official evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. Edgeworth is looking pretty sullen. You could at least study some evidence law, really. The prosecution complains notwithstanding, it appears that this evidence satisfies the first rule of evidence law. However, it seems you have yet another count against you, witness. Anything to ensure that the guilty are properly judged. Victim's shoe added to the court record. White enamel shoe. Bears traces of blood from Goodman and Leonard Sky. Very well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. I should have mentioned this 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the crime. Now, to the matter of the victim's shoe. Did I not bring this up? 2 types of blood were found on the shoe. No dobra. Przyciśnijmy ją na wszystkim, bo nie mam pojęcia, co miałbym tutaj wskazać. Why did you lie about those 5 minutes? I guess you could say I just wanted people to look at the results. The results? How many times do I have to say this? I saw the chief prosecutor stab the victim before my very own eyes. Compared to that, a 5-minute blank means nothing. Then why didn't you just tell us the truth? Don't make me laugh. We're dealing with the most untrustworthy of the vile lot known as prosecutors. Falsified evidence, arranged testimonies, erasing and manipulating evidence. When you fight monsters, you need to use every trick in the book. It is when the suspect is admitting she did it? But false testimony is the most despicable crime of all, Miss Starr. Let's just get this over with. And you found this shoe at the scene of a crime. I detained the chief prosecutor and notified the police department. I wanted to make myself useful while I was waiting for the police to arrive. So, like an ill-trained pooch, you snuck off with a shoe. I was afraid someone would erase the chief prosecutor's crime. This shoe was my secret weapon if that should happen. See this fashionable basket I have here? It carries more than lunchboxes, gentlemen. I'm happy for you and your lunchboxes bag, really. In any case, you removed valuable evidence from the scene of a crime. Now tell us what you did next. So we brought it to the forensics department. If you're going to submit something as evidence in court, you need it approved. To do that, evidence must be analyzed by a forensic expert. And she get away with her little coup because she used to be a detective. The shoe does appear to have bloodstain on it. Well, the man was stabbed after all. And that blood belonged to the victim, Detective Goodman. As I said, there were 2 types of blood found on the shoe. The other blood type matched that of the defendant. You can't say for sure blood belonged to the defendant with a blood test. You claim to know something about blood test, Rookie. Huh? Well, speak up. Blood comes in 4 types: A, B, O, and A, B. Nie O, 0. A, B, 0, and A, B. However, you can't tell from a blood test whether a murder was committed in cold blood. Bzz. That's just a figure of speech, Mr. Wright. Actually, we can differentiate between millions of types with all the blood tests out there. Which means that we can more or less narrow any sample of blood down to just one person. Also, I hear. That's pretty specific. If I had a little more time, I would have gotten DNA test results. But they said there's a very little doubt it could be anyone's but Miss Lena Sky. So the suspect's blood was found at the victim's shoe. That ties her directly to the death of Detective Goodman. I was afraid he was going to say that. I can't let this evidence go through without a fight. The fuck? You ordered the peppered fish guts, right? Some like it hot, Mr. Wright. Some like your client. She's in enough hot water to make a whole vat of soup. Mr. Wright, do you or don't you have a problem with this shoe? A problem? This is critical. Is there a problem with the victim's shoe? Powiedzmy, że jest problem. No, there's nothing there. And if I just stop blindly at it, I'll hurt my case. Come on, Mr. Wright, I know you can find something. Some kind of off-the-cuff contradiction. I'm trying to avoid saying things off the cut today. That's pretty sly, hiding evidence like that. There's something sly about a lawyer using the law as a weapon. In any case, science is always on our side. Don't forget. Scientific investigation is the wave of the future. Maybe I should investigate this evidence a little more closely. Czyli mamy się przyjrzeć butowi, okej. Od spodu też jest krew. There's blood here too! On the sole of the shoe. It's got to be the victim's. He must have stepped in a puddle of his own blood. All this blood is horrible. This blood might be an important clue. This blood, it's my sister's, right? It appears so. Lana's right hand was bandaged when I saw her in jail. She must have cut herself at the time of the crime. Poor sis. Przeczytajmy to wszystko jeszcze raz. I should have mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the crime. And now to the matter of the victim's shoe. Did I not bring this up? 2 types of blood were found on his shoe. One was of course the victim's, and the other blood type matched that of the defendant, Miss Lana Sky. This shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence. Czyli co? Pokażmy jej ten but? Nie? Okej. Muszę pokazać but, tylko nie wiem na którym zdaniu. Nie? Nie? Też nie, czyli co, nie mam pokazywać buta? O! W takim razie co mam pokazać? That's pretty sly, hiding evidence like that. There's nothing sly about a lawyer using the law as a weapon. In any case, science is on our side. Don't forget, science investigation is the way of the future. I should investigate this evidence a little more closely. Czyżbym nie znalazł czegoś? Zobaczmy. To widziałem, to widziałem. Nie ma tu nic innego. Two types of blood were found on the shoe. One was of course the victim's, and the other blood matched that of the defendant, Ms. Lana Sky. This shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence. Nic. Mamy save'a. Próbujemy wszystkich naszych... W sumie na tym zdjęciu nie widać, żeby była krew na podłodze, więc skąd się wzięła krew na spodzie buta? A! Czyli wpadłem na to w końcu. Unfortunately for you, this shoe is far from being perfect evidence. What? This shoe directly contradicts what we know about the crime. The shoe doesn't fit. Rubble, rubble, rubble. Order, order. You're claiming there's a contradiction with this shoe? As I said, the shoe doesn't fit what we know about the scene of the crime. Very well, let's hear what Miss Wright has to say about this shoe. What about this shoe contradicts what we know about the crime? Show us the problem with this evidence. Krew, która jest od spodu. The problem lies in the footprint. The footprint? Note that the bottom of the victim's shoe is covered in blood. Then, isn't it strange? Why weren't any blood footprints found by the scene of the crime? Oh! As you can see, there were no traces of any such footprints at the scene of the crime. That contradicts your whole claim about the shoe. This picture only shows part of floor, so there could have been blood footprints. Then where are they, Mr. Edgeworth? Because we checked the scene and found nothing of the sort. Order, order, order. Well, witness? What? Oh, Great going, Mr. Wright, but it's true that the lack of a footprint is a contradiction. But then we have to ask why there wasn't a footprint. Oh. That's true. There has to be a reason why there wasn't a footprint. Think, Mr. Wright, think. Hey, I don't know why it's not there. I'm just good at finding contradictions. What? I see. Now I get it. Get what? Our witness is more devious than I gave her credit for. We were hoodwinked to the very end. But she slipped. There is one vital hint to the truth in her testimony. What are you talking about? Think back to when she told us about apprehending the suspect. The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, kicked over an oil drum. Oh, she's a beautiful but a deadly predator. This one, a leopard woman, roar. I thought that was a strange thing for the normally cool-headed chief to do. No kidding. Now, witness, allow me to ask a very simple question. This oil drum, was it empty? Oh, that. I'm not sure I like your attitude, Mr. Edgeworth. Though apparently you're not the slowest conveyor belt in the lunchbox factory. Witness? Well, was the oil drum empty? The oil drum kicked over by the chief prosecutor was brimming with water. Water? What does that mean? Still don't get it, Mr. Wright. Do you want to know the reason she knocked it over? The real reason? Ah, you don't mean... Yes, the suspect knocked over the oil drum for one reason and one reason alone. To raise the bloodstains that would become evidence against her. What? That ties things up quite nicely. The bloodstains left on the victim's shoe tie her quite clearly to this murder. Then, after the deed was done, she knocked over the oil drum to raise the telltale signs. Right, that's a prosecutor's specialty, erasing evidence. That reminds me, Miss Sky's right hand was hurt. Didn't she say she'd cut herself when she stabbed him? So that's when my sister's blood got on the shoe? Well, I see no reason to prolong this trail. Mr. Wright, do something, please. What? What can I do? Your sister has confessed to the crime and she tried to conceal it. But... Enough. There is no need for further debate. The verdict, Your Honor. Very well. But Angel Starr is on the prosecution's side. She could have been lying about the water. This court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky, guilty. Hold it! A little girl. What did you say? Huh? Me? Did you say that I, Angel Starr, was on the persecution side? Well, yeah, you were. You're saying my sister hid evidence by erasing the bloody footprints? Well, I thought you'd had your fill. You'd had your fill, but here you are, demanding a second helping. Another lunchbox, a lunchbox called evidence.
Wait, witness, don't tell me you have something else.
The time for deliberation is past. Any further comments and you will be held in contempt of court. Your threats don't scare the cough-up queen. Look at this.
A photograph.
I had it just in case anyone had the gall to suggest that the white shoe didn't belong to the victim.
I see no room for error in this evidence.
Mr. Wright, wait, look at the asphalt in this photo. Hey, it's clearly wet. Ale co... Przepraszam, mufler to nie jest zderzak, tylko mufler to jest ten... Wydech, rura wydechowa. I coś jest w rurze wydechowej wepchnięte.
Raising the last trace of dope from the coach's mind. Immediately after the murder, the crime scene was washed with water.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wright. I guess I couldn't help after all. It's not your fault. I knew I couldn't win this case from the beginning. And it seems this is what your sister wanted anyway. I'm sorry, Mia. Right. Wet or not? Don't be so quick to throw in the towel. Znowu ma przebłyski? Get yourself up of the asphalt. Take another good look. Don't give up. Not until the bitter end. This is the last piece of evidence.
Very well. This time I'd like to declare a verdict for good.
Objection! Your Honor, wait!
What is it with you people? Can't I hand down my verdicts in peace anymore? Whatever it is, can it wait?
No, it can't. Then it will be too late. Look at this photograph. The last one submitted. This trial isn't over until we give each piece of evidence proper consideration. So, right. Are you saying there's a problem with this latest piece of evidence? Yeah! I think later. Yeah, there is a problem. Right or wrong, I've got to go ahead with this. No, a ja muszę kończyć odcinek, bo już jest 10 minut po godzinie.
I suppose since we've come this far, we should give every claims a fair shake. Very well, Mr. Wright. Show the court the problem in this photograph.
Coś wystaje z muflera. The problem in this photograph is here. What's this? There's something poking out of the car's muffler. Właśnie.
Wait just a moment, Mr. Edgeworth.
Your Honor?
You just said muffler. However, I see no trace of muffler or scarf of any kind in this photograph.
A muffler is also a part of on a car or motorcycle you are. Wydech. Just think of it as part of the exhaust system, a pipe.
I see and I see. What's that suspicious looking cloth sticking out of the car muffler?
So what if there's something sticking out of a muffler? What does that have to do with this case? Nothing, absolutely nothing. Sorry, Miss Starr, but it's not going to be that easy. In fact, you've already told us why this is important to the case. You said as much in your testimony. What?
Let's hear what Mr. Wright has on his mind. Tell us why you think this piece of cloth
in the muffler is related to this case. Wydaje mi się, że... Kurde, nie mogę teraz zapisać, prawda? Skiepściłem to. Ale wydaje mi się, że tu będzie chodzić o telefon. O ostatnie... Tak, ona to powiedziała, że... Słyszała, jak Lana mówiła muffler do swojego telefonu. Miss Starr? Recall your testimony for the court. Ah, yes. When I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. Muffler. Ah! Could it be that the muffler you heard mentioned was actually this exhaust pipe? If so, that means this piece of cloth is vital evidence.
Well, it seems we will have to suspend these proceedings.
Suspend?
I find myself wondering about that piece of cloth. If you leave any questions unanswered here, we do a disservice to the law. Have the car at the crime scene inspect at once and bring me that cloth. The verdict will wait till after we've seen all the evidence. Agreed?
I suppose so. Phew! That was close. But we made it. At least for now.
This court will adjourn for a 30 minutes recess. It's lunchtime after all.
He's still hungry! To be continued. Okej. Wyszedł trochę długi odcinek, ale udało się zakończyć go. Okej. Zróbmy save'a, zakończmy odcinek i widzimy się następnym razem. Na razie.